Have you ever been around a group of people and thought to yourself, I don't want to end up like them? It could be your family, maybe a high school reunion, or possibly even a group of people in your industry. The state of their physical health is clearly something you do not want for your future, and you're afraid you might be on that path. That's what happened to me, and it scared me enough to change everything. There aren't a lot of healthy people in my family, and no part of me wants to sit around and discuss and compare ailments and medications. No thanks. As I got older, I noticed that the people I grew up around and the people just a little bit older than me, well, everyone's weight was going up. At the same time, their fitness and their physical abilities were declining. And for years, I told myself the same thing that a lot of other people tell themselves. That's not going to be me. One day, I'm going to do something about that. But here's the thing that nobody tells you about that story. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one day and suddenly you can't move. It's slow. It's gradual. A little more weight here, a little less activity there, and a whole lot of, I'll get to it when things calm down. Spoiler alert, things never calm down. You're probably going to have a busy schedule 5 years from now, but you do get a choice in what goes into that busy schedule. If you don't decide, you'll find yourself in the same position that I was, drifting in a direction that you swore you'd never go. For years, I genuinely believed that I could just turn it on and undo all the damage that I'd done with a decade of inactivity. But I found out the hard way that that's just not how it works. There was a specific day that I'll never forget, mainly because I needed a larger dose of humility to actually come to grips with the reality of my situation. There was a flag football at work, and I was in my late 30s at the time, and I was considered one of the old guys for this tournament. I did not feel like an old guy, and so I really wanted to show up and prove to the younger guys that I still had it. I had played sports most of my life and had been really active up until right before I turned 30. So 7 or 8 years of inactivity couldn't possibly be that bad, except that it was. I was completely gassed after 2 plays, but my brain still thought I was that guy. Fast, coordinated, and capable, but my body was not getting the message, and my performance on the field that day would be described as anything but athletic. I remember very clearly standing on that field with my hands on my knees, struggling to catch my breath, and having this thought, what the hell happened? I didn't have a dramatic health scare. There wasn't this day where a doctor gave me some sort of bad news that spurred me into action. For me, it was a flag football game. I simply couldn't keep up. And to make matters worse, there's a younger coworker that I didn't particularly care for, came up to me, told me that I was too old and fat and that my best days were behind me. And that stuck with me. I replayed that day, that moment in my head way more times than I care to admit. I was embarrassed, humiliated, and massively disappointed in myself that I'd let myself go. But for most of the people that I hung around with, it wasn't a big deal to them. They were unhealthy and out of shape, and while I might not fit into my pants next week, I'd fit right in if I hung out with them. But that was the problem. I didn't want to end up like them. And here's what I want you to take from this. You've probably had your own flag football moment. Maybe you haven't put words to it yet, but there was a moment. Maybe it was a flight of stairs that winded you, a family vacation where you couldn't keep up, or a photo that didn't align with the way that you see yourself. These moments don't have to be personal failures. They can be feedback. The problem isn't that your body's changed. It's biology, and it's happened to all of us. The problem is when you ignore the feedback for long enough that you start to believe that changing course is impossible. The people in my family, the people I grew up with, the people I worked with, they didn't make one bad decision. They made thousands of small ones that eventually change their beliefs about what's possible. Unfortunately, many of them believed they could no longer do anything about their situation. I get it. There was a time where I felt the exact same way, and I can laugh about it now, but at the time, it really didn't seem that funny. With the help of a coach, I managed to turn my life around, and I've had the privilege of helping hundreds of other people do the same thing over the last 12 years. And to be honest, it's kind of cool being one of the old guys and being in better shape in my 50s than I was in my 30s. If any of this resonates with you, do me a favor and like the video. Better yet, share it with someone who might find it helpful. And that moment where you know something has to change, that hits a little bit different for everyone. If you've had your flag football moment and you're ready to do something about it, click on the link in the description and book a free consultation. We can have a conversation about your goals, what you've tried, and an honest recommendation about your best path forward, whether you train with us or not. If you've had the thought, I don't want to end up like them, it's time. Book the intro.